Now, we're not talking about this just so that we can start to use emojis in our code, of course. The reason this is complex is that everything plain text related in computing is communicated through Unicode characters. By plain text, we mean without formatting like font, font size, bold, italics, color, and so on. We mean anything that can be expressed in a plain text editor like Notepad on PC or TextEdit on Mac. Yet there are a lot of things contained there that you wouldn't immediately recognize as characters. For example, you press Enter or Return to start a new line. How does the computer know to start a new line? Well, technically, there's a new line character. It's invisible, you don't see it, and yet it's there. Just as the computer shows the lowercase a character as the lowercase a, it shows a new line character as a breakdown to the next line. There are lots of these. Tabs, for instance, are characters that are rendered to have a certain width of white space. Paragraphs are actually their own characters, different from new line characters. And in fact, there are actually two new line characters called carriage returns and line feed. Have you ever created a plain text file on a Mac OS or Unix and then opened it on Windows only to find everything was on one line? That's because Mac uses the line feed character to represent its new line, while Windows uses both carriage returns and line feeds. When Windows sees just a line feed, it doesn't render it the same way. Now, why does all this matter? The fact that these are stored as characters can alter the way we do some of our string manipulations. For example, let's say we load 5 lines from a file and print each of them on their own line. Lo and behold, we might find that there's an extra blank line printed between each pair of lines. Why? Because when we loaded the lines from a file, there was a new line character as part of the line. Then when we printed each on its own line, it printed an additional new line character, the one in the string, and the one that we print between lines. So the conclusion of all this is, strings are simply lists of characters. However, characters themselves are quite complex. Between the relationships within the human alphabet and the special characters supplied by Unicode, that can make string formatting pretty complex. The very fact that our code is also written in text is a good example of this complexity as well. We differentiate our text in our code from the code itself using quotation marks, in most languages at least. But what if we will actually want to print quotation marks? The fact that we write code in text makes this an interesting little challenge.